Well, welcome to episode 4 of the Bookweaver's Quill. We're so excited to have you with us today. And I'm going to pass this off to Anna Marie, who's going to explain our topic for today.
Today, we're going to be talking about nature and how nature influences you in an everyday experience. How do you wake up and look out the window and see particular trees or a stream, or waking up and hearing the birds? And each of us in our own individual writing have nature in our books. And as Jackie said a few minutes ago when we were talking prior to actually starting here, uh, nature is part of us, and it found its way expressed through each of us in our own individual writing. And what we've always encouraged all of our listeners to do is please comment and tell us how nature affects you. Okay, so that's what we're looking forward to. So we'll be reading excerpts from each person's book today about nature, or the little influences of nature in the particular stories.
Yes, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel because your feedback and comments help us bring you better content. So thank you.
So. And Jackie, I'll just interject here.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about just a tiny bit about what you had said prior to our starting to record about nature?
About nature, yeah. I was thinking that nature is such a huge part of so many people's lives, and we were going to talk a little bit today about how, as writers, we develop ideas of nature and how our characters use nature as a lens through which they act and feel. So,
Okay. So shall I jump in and start to read?
Mhm.
Okay. So I will start. Jackie, is it all right if I start with yours?
oh yeah, sure. Mhm.
Okay. So Jackie, you want to say the name of your book?
Okay, so this is from House of Unwound Thread.
All right, so here we go. The sun had fallen in our absence, leaving everything bathed in a pale gleam that was neither lustrous nor pretty, not even the thick splashes of water stretching before us, which now appeared hardly more than a vast muddy puddle. It was dusk, that fragile time when the day's last light burned on the horizon, illuminating things only halfway. I walked along the water's edge. It felt like walking a tightrope between two worlds. Like if you weren't careful, you might tumble into someplace different altogether. After everything Sanchez had told me about the legend of the oak, I almost expected something to happen right then, for a door to open to see things for what they really were, like watching a coin flip or catching a glimpse of the back of a mirror. But instead, the light just dimmed, like the fireflies in the field and the black flames of our candles that had begun to burn out. We walked the rest of the way in the dark, catching slivers of the elder's silvery voice as she recounted the legend of the great dour oak, the gateway to another world. I wondered if the legend had any truth to it. Had it existed before the bestiole? Or, like so many other stories, had it been simply made up to explain things there were no answers to? Things like curses that came to claim children and families who left them behind.
So this particular excerpt is of a protagonist who is trying to figure out who she is. She has amnesia and she doesn't know who her family is and who she can trust. And at this point in the story, she's kind of created about a bit of a found family of friends that she has begun to open up to, and yet there's so many questions that she still has and so many things that have been left unanswered. And this particular scene, the inspiration of nature is basically how sometimes I speak for myself here, but I think for a lot of us out there, sometimes I think we see nature as a reflection of ourselves, and we find symbols in the things that we're seeing and meaning, which in this case, the different vibes that this girl is seeing in nature are really reflecting what she's going through as a person, and the unsureness and the muddiness, the fact that the sky is setting and everything, the candles are burning dark, and she still has all these questions um, that have not been answered, and that she keeps digging and getting nowhere. So that was basically the inspiration for this passage.
Yeah, it's well written, Jackie. And I love the fireflies
Hmm.
because they seem hopeful. They
Yeah,
go and they come, and it's sometimes that's what happens in our lives. Things appear for us and then kind of go away. Yeah,
right.
very nicely written.
And Jackie, what was your inspiration behind using an oak?
Um, so a lot of this story actually has to do about the acorn, um, the potential that an acorn has. It's actually called acorn theory. The potential that an acorn has of always becoming an oak tree, no matter how small it begins, that it always has this vast potential at its center. And this is a recurring theme in this book. And as it so happens, which I didn't know when I first began planning the book, was that there is a legend about this a real dour oak tree,
Mhm.
which opens up and has another world behind, which was perfect for the concept of this particular book.
Oh, that's
So that
awesome.
kind of, it was just a sign. It like nature, it just fell out of the sky for me, because I hadn't planned on that. I basically reinvented the exact story that already existed. So that was pretty funny.
Isn't that amazing, that as writers, and to all of the writers that are certainly listening to this podcast, that we find that magic coming into our writing?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
kind of like you start to connect with that magical part of things. And yeah, it's an exciting process.
Yeah.
Sometimes arduous, but but
Yeah.
exciting nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, Steph, I'd like to go into yours.
Sure.
Mhm. And Steph, the name of your book?
This is from The Air of Light and Shadows.
Okay, and do you want to give us a little idea about it before I start, or would you
Sure.
prefer?
No, that's fine. I actually chose this passage because it's the introduction to it's a pivotal moment in the book, and that was really just showing where this book goes from a suspense book to fantasy, and it's very clear and lined out pretty clearly in this passage.
Chuck held his torch up, revealing the sight before them. In the middle of the room was a tree, but it appeared to be upside down. The trunk branches outward, the roots coiled downward from the ceiling, while the still green branches and leaves looked as though they grew upward from the ground. The twinkling blue lights darted around the tree's leaves and blossoms. Brody stared at the lush greenness of the tree's toothy leaflets, the white flowers arranged in flat-topped clusters. This tree was underground, with no sunlight. It should be dead and certainly not growing upside down. And it appeared to be breathing. It moved outward and inward with slow, meditative breaths. How is this possible? Bertie asked, marveling at the sight before him. What is this? An Algorian tree, Chuck said. Ain't she beautiful? Bertie stepped forward, extending his finger to one of the hundreds of dashing blue lights. Don't touch that unless you wish to lose about 10 years of memory, Chuck warned. What is it? Bertie asked. Pixies, as quick as hummingbirds, maybe quicker. Nasty little sprites, gah, he said, swiping the torch to stave off the blue pixies who flittered away to the threat of fire. In the old days, before the war, pixies would swarm the Algorian elder trees to keep Fae from using the tree for travel. So this tree is a gateway to Algoria? I don't know, Chuck said, shaking his head, the flickering flames lighting one side of his weathered face. Too withered, Bertie thought, for a man in his early 70s. The last I remember, all the elder trees of Algoria were destroyed.
This part is really, as I said before, when it starts to transition into this fantasy book, and this one character, the two characters in the scene, Brody is more skeptical of this stuff, although he's been um, more accepting of it as time has gone on throughout the book because he learns there's something going on. He's just not sure. Whereas Chuck is from Algoria, so he has a lot of knowledge of this, and he still doesn't quite understand what it's doing there and why. So,
Hmm. I love the way you use trees for nature, but then also fire.
mm,
You know,
yeah.
um, it's really, it does start to bring you into a whole different aspect of nature because fire is so present in a forest and
hmm
things along that line. So,
hmm
and
And
yeah, go ahead, hon.
yeah, and fire is all of the elements are very, very present in these books, especially as the story unfolds in book two. But fire is really becomes the focus in book two. And I'm not going to give away the spoilers, but there's a lot surrounding that and the tree and the connection to the trees as well. So it's exciting. And I think that the reason why I use so much of that is because after studying it really in the Ayurveda about the elements and how the creation of even our essence is from these elements, it's it's become so ingrained in my writing then to incorporate them.
Mhm.
And the as if you do read book two, you'll see the space and air and the other elements also and water become very important as well. But yeah, like I do really love the tree element and fire. So,
Yeah, very much. And I find it interesting that in Jackie's excerpt, we have fireflies, and in your excerpt, we have the blue dashing
yeah, yeah.
blue
And
lights.
to go back to Jackie's for a second, I was thinking when you were Jackie, when you were talking about the walking between two worlds,
Mm.
and you were talking about the sun setting, right? Sun setting, right? And I often think of that, but when the sun is right before it rises. You know, I always try to incorporate the whole, to me, it's just this like blue hue that happens in the morning where everything's blanketed with this, blue hue. And then it starts to slowly become colorful and you start to see things appear. But and I've always thought about that. It feels like you're in some, middle world, that is just, becoming something else. So,
And also what I find fascinating is many of us have a particular favorite time of day, whether it be sunrise or sunset. And certainly everyone that's listening would love you to let us know
Mhm.
which you're more drawn to and your experience with that kind of stuff.
And which are you two more drawn to? What time of day, what time of day is it? Is it the blue hour that you're talking of? Which is kind of funny because actually the book I'm writing right now has a lot to do with that blue glowy time. Which is really interesting that you mentioned that. Is that your time stuff or
I actually I do, it's weird. I do prefer, I don't know, it depends for me. Like sometimes I think that setting sun when it's warm out and you're looking at all the beautiful colors of the sky and just watching the sun go down is really just feel has a different feel to me. But then this morning, obviously, like I woke up really early and it was still dark out, and I'm not really a fan of waking up in the dark. But as I was moving along and just watching it get like a little lighter, I was like, oh, this is such a sacred time. There's something so sacred about it because it's quiet, nobody's up yet. Um, it's just you and your thoughts, and you're just able to put out the intentions you want to for the day. So that's really special. So I think I like the look of the evening better, but I like the feel of the morning better, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
that's good. Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
yeah.
I like sunrise.
Mhm.
My favorite is being down the shore,
Mm, mm,
out on the beach, when
East
it's
Coast?
still dark. It's very similar to what you were just saying, Steph. And just standing there and then watching the sun just crest just a little bit, and the sparkle of the sun on the water as it
mm,
come up, and then
mm,
it has that beautiful pathway, that golden pathway, and the ocean in the morning just seems to have such a beautiful dancing nature to it, and it looks like diamonds. Ah,
mm.
I get thrilled.
Can I just, before you jump in, Jackie, I just wanted to mention there's a the very best sunset I've ever seen in my whole entire life, hands down. And I used to go with my mom to South Carolina.
Oh,
And right past Myrtle Beach, there's a place called Surfside Beach. And there's a Holiday Inn there. So I'm giving a shout out to this place because it is the very best view of a sunrise that you will ever see in your whole entire life. The way that I guess the land juts out a little bit, from where you are in your hotel room, you can watch the sunrise just directly in front of you. It's like you can literally sit on your balcony and watch this beautiful sunrise, and it's always warm.
wow.
And it's just, I mean, obviously, if there's a storm or something, it's not clear, but it's just the most beautiful, clear sunrise I've ever seen. I'm sure there are other really great ones, but that one is, ah,
Yeah. And
beautiful.
it's funny because I had an experience, I believe, it's in Maine. And I'm blanking on the name of the mountain, and I should remember because I was there. People come from all over the world because it's the very first place that the sun touches the United States.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
during our podcast, or we'll put it down in the comments. I want to say it's coming in and out of my brain, but anyway, standing there and hundreds of people go. And everybody's talking and just chattering along, waiting for the sun to come up. And as soon as the first light comes, there was complete silence.
Hmm.
Everyone stopped talking simultaneous. I think it's cackle. No, I'll find out. Um, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. Just total hush.
Hmm.
And just watch the sun. Oh my goodness,
A-
beautiful.
And to add to that, last comment, I promise I'll stop talking, is in
Oh,
Sedona, there's a place where everybody watches the sunset.
oh,
And when John and I went, we were able to watch it, which was really cool because it actually, the week that we had gone, it was raining a lot in Sedona, which was so crazy. But then we were able to see this sunset. And I mean, there were just so many people there. It's like on this big, tall mountain, and it was just beautiful. So it's another avenue. Maybe I can find some pictures and add them in.
Yeah,
was thinking
read
that
it.
myself, that we should put in some.
Yeah, yeah, we should. And there's a place too with a beautiful sunset down the shore here.
Mm.
It's called Sunset Beach, and don't remember where that is, but I
Yeah,
go
I
Isn't
think
there
it's
one
Cape
towards
May.
New York? Oh, there is a Sunset Beach there. I thought there was another one. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Because I was somewhere in between like the South Jersey shores and New York. I think there's a Sunset Beach as
Oh,
well.
is there really?
That was my favorite soap opera when I was younger. It was called
Sunset
Sunset.
Beach? Was it really?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
Yeah.
good. Hmm.
all right,
And
so
my
Well,
go
how
ahead.
about you, Jackie? Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah.
my favorite is actually a bit different because I don't know why, but I always like the lack of color. And I've had the pure luck because I also don't really enjoy getting up when it's dark out. I very much enjoy my sleep. And when I do stay over at the Jersey Shore, I do force myself at least once to get out to the beach beforehand, and I've had the luck to do it on the completely foggy day, the
Oh,
rain day, and the last time I went, actually, it was the most gorgeous thing. It was just all white, and it was just whiteness, and when the sun rose there was a fog bow, which I didn't even know was an actual thing. It's a rainbow, but it's completely white.
Hmm.
oh,
And
never heard
it
of that.
was just yeah. And I have I'll have to we'll have to put some pictures right here. It's a phenomenal, beautiful, unprecedented like view that day. It was gorgeous. And other than that, I love fog. I live in northeastern France, where there is a ton of rain and fog. And I love, especially in the mornings, the fog gets kind of caught in the valleys. And sometimes there are a lot of cows, which I also happen to love. And so a lot of times you'll just see like cow legs, but no body because they're in the fog, or the opposite way around. You'll just see like floating cow heads. It's amazing. It's like nature is just it shocks you every time
It
We're
you
gonna
see
does.
something.
need some documentation of that. We're gonna need a picture. So.
I'm gonna try. I mean, I have tried, and a lot of times it's always unfortunate. It's always like right in the middle of a. I don't know if any of our viewers have been in the northeastern France region, but um, basically a lot of the roads are very twisty turny, very narrow.
Hmm.
Something that would be one lane in a US street is a head on with no divider type of road, snaking through a hilly countryside with no visibility and fog. So
Are you
sometimes I can't
sure?
stop to take the picture, but I do have a couple pictures that you can. It was a little later. The fog can lift really quickly, and even in a couple minutes, a lot of it's dissipated. But I do have some. I'll
Oh,
find
that's,
them.
and what
I'll
did you
link
say the white rainbow's called again?
a fog bow, like a rainbow, but it's yeah,
Hmm.
because the fog is actually everywhere, dispersed equally, it can create the same type of prism as a rainbow,
Hmm.
except there's not the way that it reflects apparently is it's not reflecting um the colors of the prism, it can only reflect the white. And so you just have this completely white arc going through another um, white expanse.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's, yeah, I'm going to
beautiful.
look that up.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's really amazing. I love that. Yeah, very much so. All
Yeah.
right, I'm going to jump into my little excerpt, and mine is about a young lady whose name is Ruthie, and she's talking about something in nature that's right outside her bedroom window. and different little parts. Her mother is dating a gentleman, and so he pops in every so often too. So here we go. I liked the fact that our apartment was on the third floor. My mom said that climbing stairs with bags of groceries kept her in shape, and besides, stair climbing was good for your heart. Well, I want a healthy heart, but that's not the reason I like being on the third floor. I like it because I can look down into the tree below my window. True, it isn't the tallest tree in the world, but it's tall enough that when I open my window and put my head out, I can look down into its wide branches. This is a dogwood tree, Mark said in his I know something you don't know tone of voice. You can tell by its oval-shaped leaves that have raised veins running to its outer angled edges. Mark was always telling us details about things that you didn't know and weren't sure you needed to know. To him, sounding smart was important, so he loaded up his mind with little facts about everything. Well, it might not have been everything, but it sure did seem that way sometimes. Mark liked trees and knew all kinds of interesting facts about them. He was always spouting off facts about stuff he had read. My mom would look at him with a goofy smile on her face when he talked about random things. She especially liked the facts he told her about how important dogwood trees were to the American Indians. Yep, the American Indian knew how to read nature, Mark said. They knew when the dogwood tree's branches were full with blossoms, it was a signal from Mother Nature to plant the corn. They knew that the flowering on the trees meant that winter had ended and that the growing season was here. Mark and my mom had a sappy story about their dating and sitting under a dogwood tree when it was in full blossom. I know how you get starry-eyed, he would say to her. He had planted the dogwood tree that was outside my window. Mark worked for a landscaping company, and he brought it home to surprise my mom for her birthday one year. My mom made us all watch as Mark planted it. He told my mom that on one of his jobs, the owner wanted the tree removed from his yard because they were putting in a pool. Mark asked his boss if he could have the tree, and the boss said he didn't care if Mark took it, so long as he did the work on his own time. The boss let him use the company truck to bring it to the apartment complex. And so that's how, with the help of two of Mark's friends, a 12-foot dogwood tree was planted beneath my bedroom window. I was only 6 when he planted it. I didn't think it was a big deal, but I could see even then how important it was to my mom by the way she was smiling. Dogwoods got their name because people said that when the branches knocked together, it sounded like barking dogs, Mark told us one night as he planted the tree. Funny thing was that on windy nights, when I was alone in my bedroom, I thought I could hear barking dogs. Guess I never knew for sure if it was the dogwood branches knocking together or a dog in the neighborhood making the noises I heard. Either way, it made me feel good to know that the noises weren't coming from some random place, because that thought scared me.
Great job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
why did you choose a dogwood?
Because everything that I did right is really too. Dogwood trees have a very special, um, magical, spiritual aura around them. Okay, and it is that when they knock together, when the branches knock together, they really do have that sound, very much so. So, yeah, and I like Ruthie because she wants to be skeptical because of her age. I mean, just a normal thing for a 12-year-old to be skeptical, but at the same time, she really does believe in the unseen. which you can see in other parts of the book. The name of the book, which is still in progress, is called Only When She Reads. And it's a book about a young girl, Ruthie, and her relationship with her mom.
It's interesting that you use dogwood because I was looking up the different meanings of the trees I thought it was interesting that we all chose a different tree. And the dogwood is a very protective tree. So,
Mhm.
and it's known for protection. So I was thinking the whole time as you're reading that it's actually like it's outside of her window, and that even though a lot of times things outside of our windows are scary, it's something that's protecting her right outside of her window. So,
Exactly. And that's why I end with the fact that she said any other thought would have scared her.
hmm
Because the book is about some of the things that she goes through that she doesn't understand. In this book, she has a lot of questions, which most 12, 13-year-olds do.
hmm
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, but I liked the whole nature thing,
I
and
love the metaphor of it
hmm
myself, just with the barking dogs. And it was like so, the passage, I love that passage because it's so filled with metaphor.
hmm
And also, I felt like that kind of the same idea as what I had said earlier about how sometimes we look for signs in what's happening outside or in nature to reflect upon what we're feeling on the inside. And I think that I read that as Ruthie really allowing the tree to be the barking dogs because she wanted it to be that way.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how, like you said, Steph, a minute ago, that we all used a tree. We all wrote about a tree in our writing, and trees have such deep roots and such beautiful branches. So I think knowing the three of us,
hmm
that we are all deeply rooted in many different ways, both with family, with love of the earth, but at the same time, stretching in many different ways. So just the imagery, just the whole concept of trees, it's very, very mystical, magical, and
hmm
yeah, I'm thrilled that we. Mhm.
Stephanie's passage about how the tree was breathing, it was just like such a beautiful. I love the word meditative breath in that. It actually brought me into this almost meditative feeling where I really just almost like fell into that passage. Like I just was suddenly there. It wasn't even like a gradual thing. It was like somersaulting into this room with this tree and it breathing and being part of all of that. And I just felt like that was such a beautiful and powerful passage because like Anna Marie was just saying, trees um are such symbols of so many things. And even now they're starting to say that they believe that trees have heartbeats and trees so trees would be breathing, even though they're breathing through their leaves, um, they are breathing.
hmm
And
Very
seeing that we are a lot closer to the different types of nature, the different things that we are, that we identify with, maybe we aren't so different from them after all.
hmm
mm, very
Love
much.
that.
hmm
Yeah,
Mm.
it's funny. The reason I bought my house that I live in now was because of the tree that's in the backyard. That I'll have to get a picture and we can post it.
Yeah.
I was going to just say quickly, in literature and stuff, the children's book about trees, The Giving Tree,
hmm
is
Wow.
so important. That's such a powerful book. And you were going to say something, Jackie?
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool story. It really is. And then I was also thinking of the book, The Secret Garden.
Mm. I
One of
love
my
that book.
favorites. Oh my
hmm
goodness.
I've read that so many times.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
And yeah, and it shows so much about nature and things like that. So
Yeah. Oh, but
I
now
actually
that
ran around the house so many times pretending to be in that garden. I
yeah.
such fond memories of that. We could probably cut that out.
no,
Sorry.
no, I love that. I was just thinking they had the version of it where they had the little a little locket with it
You
that you
have
could
that.
get. Oh
You
my
have that?
That was like my favorite
I
thing,
love the
you know,
pumpkin.
when I was younger. Um,
So
I was
trees
just
are really very
working
important.
outside in the garden yesterday and the day before. So every day that it's been nice, I've been trying to go out there and take Jensen out there, take my son out there. Um, and we just like we're raking up because we have these trees that drop like little gumballs. So we're like raking them up and cleaning up the yard and just making it just being out there, you know, with nature and just with the leaves and with everything out. It just it does something to you. You know, it calms you, it brings you into a different space. So,
You know what? I just want to interject also. Jackie, you mentioned that they're saying that some trees have heartbeats. And there's a phenomenal book that was written. It's called The Overstory,
mm,
and it won the Pulitzer Prize. And it's all about how trees interact with one another.
mm,
Talk
Oh
about,
yeah.
yeah, right this second, I can't think of the author's name, but we can certainly include it. But
mhm,
it is called The Overstory, and he did win the Pulitzer Prize. It's fascinating, fascinating to see how trees actually communicate with one another. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so I could go on for that for an hour, so.
mhm. Or even the other thing that we should also include that I still would love to have is how the trees sing and the plants sing.
Yeah,
That device they created that
yes.
can listen
I was
to the
not aware
sound
of
of
this.
the, oh my goodness, it's just incredible. Incredible.
And keeping in the theme, I happen to have worn my dragonfly necklace that I just got for my birthday. So someone was very nice too. So I wore that because dragonflies are very important to nature and in nature, and
Hmm.
they appear at all different times. And I happen to have a pond right outside my window, and it's so cool to watch the dragonfly
Hmm.
come flying all around and light on all the different plants. So that's in keeping with our nature theme today. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Jackie, do your fingers. And please don't hesitate to share your stories with us about your experience, either writing in nature or a really beautiful experience you've had in nature. And we look forward to seeing that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on the Bookweaver's Quill.